Welcome back. Okay, today we are diving into something super interesting. We're taking a completely impartial, analytical look at a recent review from the Medical Research Institute. It's all about a 2026 dental supplement called ProDentim, and it's taking a pretty wild approach to dental health. So here's the big question. Can a simple, chewable probiotic actually transform your teeth? I mean, for decades, we've basically been taught that oral health is this strictly mechanical process, right? You brush, you floss, you use harsh mouthwashes to basically scrape and rinse away all the bad stuff. But what if, and this is what the review investigates, what if oral health could actually be managed from the inside out using probiotics? That's the exact premise we are unpacking in today's explainer. Okay, let's dive straight into this. Here's how we're going to break it down today. First, a new dental approach. Second, a breakdown of the key ingredients. Third, balancing the oral microbiome. Fourth, we'll look at some real user experiences. And finally, we'll weigh the pros and cons. All right, Section 1, a new dental approach. Shifting away from those traditional methods. So the entire dossier centers around this, the ProDentim Advanced Oral Support Supplement. Now, unlike a standard paste that you brush on or a liquid you swish and spit out, this is actually a daily chewable. The publisher really emphasizes that it's formulated to be totally free from harmful chemicals, sugars, and artificial flavors. It's pretty clear they designed this specifically to appeal to health-conscious consumers, the folks who are heavily scrutinizing every single ingredient in their personal care routines. Historically, traditional dental products have basically relied on what you could call a scorched earth policy. The focus has been entirely on plaque removal and literally wiping out all the bacteria in your mouth. ProDentim's approach, however, flips that script. It focuses on nurturing the microbiome. So instead of just wiping the slate clean, the source text explicitly explains that the goal here is to foster beneficial bacteria. It's about keeping the harmful ones in check through balance rather than just destruction. Moving right along to Section 2, Key Ingredients Breakdown. Let's see exactly what's inside this chewable. The review zeroes in on one core ingredient, and that is a probiotic strain called Lactobacillus reuteri. The report actually claims this specific strain is the foundational element for this whole oral health strategy. Once it's introduced into the mouth, its primary job is to actively aid in maintaining that super delicate, healthy balance of bacteria. You can essentially think of it as the frontline worker in the ProDentim formula. But Lactobacillus reuteri doesn't work alone, right? It needs food. And that is exactly where inulin comes in. It acts as a prebiotic fiber. Think of inulin like fertilizer for the good bacteria so they can really thrive. Then you've got xylitol acting as an acid neutralizer. They've also included peppermint and tea tree oil for their natural antimicrobial properties and, to freshen your breath. Finally, we see calcium and vitamin D, which are those classic, absolutely crucial nutrients for physical tooth and gum support. So it's really this highly coordinated biological toolkit. Section 3, balancing the oral microbiome. Let's look at the actual biological mechanics here. So, how does this actually work once you take it? Well, the biological process kicks off because of the chewable format itself. Because you're chewing it, the supplement interacts directly with your saliva and the tissues inside your mouth, rather than just passing straight down into your stomach. As it dissolves, probiotics like that Lactobacillus reuteri we talked about start to populate the mouth's microbiome. Right after that, the inulin steps up to feed those newly introduced good bacteria. This allows them to multiply and literally displace the harmful bacteria, the ones that cause all that decay and bad breath. And while all that bacterial displacement is happening, the source review highlights another really clever preventative measure running in the background. The xylitol is in there actively neutralizing the acids produced by any of those stubborn, remaining harmful bacteria. According to the text, this dual-action process doesn't just restore balance. It proactively prevents common dental issues, like tooth decay, before they even get a chance to start. I mean, potentially saving you a trip to the dentist drill? Yes, please. Up next, Section 4, Real User Experiences. These are the actual anecdotes from the source review. To really humanize all these biological claims, let's look at a direct quote straight from the source text. One user actually reported that after just a few weeks of using ProDentim, their breath felt fresher and they experienced fewer instances of gum sensitivity. The review points out that this was a user who had previously battled with persistent bad breath, and we've all feared waking up with that, right? So this highlights a reported, highly noticeable lifestyle change. Here is a second story shared in the report, and this one really illustrates a clinical observation. So this individual struggled with cavities, even though they practice really diligent traditional dental hygiene. But after starting the supplement, their dentist noted a decrease in plaque buildup during their next checkup, attributing it to the product's probiotic benefits. That's a pretty fascinating reported shift, going from this frustrating cycle of cavities to an actually positive clinical outcome. The text also summarizes a few other anecdotal improvements, like improved overall gum health and noticeably less bleeding during both brushing and flossing. Now, as the smart, focused learners I know you are, it is absolutely crucial to remember that the source explicitly states these are reported individual experiences. They are anecdotes, guys, not universal guarantees. Human biology varies wildly from person to person. Moving on to our final section, Section 5, Weighing Pros and Cons. Let's talk safety, side effects, and logistics. Okay, let's do a quick recap of the distinct advantages the review outlines. The biggest pro, for sure, is its focus on holistic microbiome health. It's just a fundamentally different angle of attack. Second, it utilizes natural, chemical-free ingredients. And third, that highly convenient chewable format. For people with incredibly busy lifestyles, literally just chewing a supplement on the go is so much easier to maintain as a daily habit than some complex, multi-step brushing and rinsing routine. But we absolutely must impartially report the drawbacks and safety considerations that the Institute lays out here. Because it uses natural ingredients and essential oils, there are potential allergy risks you've got to check for. Also, introducing a bunch of new probiotics into your system can sometimes cause a little initial gastrointestinal discomfort as your body adjusts. And as we just noted, individual results will vary. Finally, the report strongly advises that pregnant or breastfeeding women must consult a doctor before adding this to their routine. Always, always be informed. Now, if a consumer clears all those safety checks and decides to try it, the review notes that ProDentim is widely available online. However, and this is a big however, it strongly recommends purchasing exclusively from official sites or major reputable e-commerce platforms. That's just to avoid any counterfeit products that might lack the actual beneficial probiotic strains. Interestingly, the source material also mentions that official channels offer a 60-day money-back guarantee, so it seems consumers are encouraged to try the product completely risk-free just to see if their specific microbiome responds positively to the formulation. Which brings us to the end of our breakdown today, and it leaves us with this final, really compelling question to consider. Does a holistic, microbiome-focused approach to dental care actually fit your daily lifestyle? We've seen the science, we've broken down the ingredients, and we've heard the user reports from the Medical Research Institute. It really is a fascinating alternative to the traditional scrape and rinse methods we all grew up with. Thank you so much for joining me to unpack this review. Keep asking great questions, keep exploring, and I'll see you in the next explainer.